Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, class.
Morning.
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 Okay, so this morning what we were doing is we're kicking off the Wolfe Deep Tissue. By the way, it's not deep tissue, but I had to give it that name because if I didn't give it that name, then we wouldn't get people to take a look at something, because what name would I give it? We have to give it names that other people are used to make them come and look over this way. So anyways, we're doing 7 days of Wolfe Deep Tissue certification, then we're going to jump into 4 days of Wolfe Non-Surgical. And this is a loving challenge to everyone out there, that even if a therapist comes to me for the first time in that 11 days, and I would like to do it, and I'll pick the therapist, and it'll be their first training, and I'll let them come up against any other therapist in the world that's been practicing for even 40 years, and I promise you that they will get better results. And the reason why is because we missed it. Now let me explain why. So before anybody thinks that I've got an ego problem, which maybe I do, don't even realize it, but what we do have is we have the most powerful body work in the world today. You show me another person that can take a fibroid and bring it down in 1 hour by 40%. And even if that fibroid is as big as a large peach, and that would be me. Okay? Show me how we can get people to dissolve fibroids within 3 to 6 months that we're told that they would never go away. So understand something, the whole system is based on crippled. It's all crippled. Everything is geared towards prescription drugs until they no longer work, and then surgery to cut out whatever has grown so big. So understand something, we know that almost the whole of natural care, okay, and all of the medical system does not recognize scar tissue to be an issue until scar tissue is a tumor or a fibroid. Even when it's arthritis, nobody knows it's scar tissue. The average person doesn't understand scar tissue. They don't understand that it's displaced calcium. They don't understand that it's inflammation in the joint. That's all that's going on. I mean, people are more intelligent when it comes to their doors. You can open up a door, and if it squeaks, what are you going to do? WD-40. So what should you be doing when you've got a joint that squeaks? WD-T. Wolfe Deep Tissue. And understand something. Does your therapist give you a 100% money back guarantee that he will do more in that first treatment than any other therapy out there, or your money back? And that's every one of my therapists who have taken the whole life coach for 7 days, because if you don't understand that everything starts off with an image and goes to a thought, that thought then goes to an emotion. That emotion then goes to a frequency. The frequency then triggers the chemist, which is the brain, to release either dose, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, to heal your body. But if you're being terrorized, that would be most of your family terrorizing you and yourself and the government and the media, and it's all BS, dysfunctional belief systems. But you're being triggered on a constant throughout the day, and now you're running a program and dripping what? Hack, H-A-C, hack, because you're trying to hack it up all the time. The phlegm, the infection, okay? All right? And that would be what? Histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol, which are dripping all the time. We are an inflammation nation. Did you know? Don't believe me. You can go to any corner downtown in any city, and you can get the most carcinogenic chemicals from your 7-Eleven, and you can poison yourself right there. You don't need to go anywhere. You can look in your cupboard or your family's cupboard or anyone else's cupboard, and you can get the worst carcinogenic chemicals that are going to cause inflammation, scar tissue formation, displaced calcium, crystallization in the body, and you can destroy yourself, and you're allowed to do it. The government no longer works for us, they work against us. And I'll guarantee you right now that any therapy that is backed by insurance is a therapy that only turns the burner down, doesn't turn the burner off. The government does not work for the people. The government works against the people because they work for just approximately over 60 families that control about 99% of all the money in the world. So I won't get into that, and you don't have to believe it, but guess what? You think you have choice. You don't have choice until you realize you've been programmed. You won't realize you've been programmed until you realize you're asleep, and you won't realize you've been asleep until you wake up. And that'll be only one out of every 10,000, but guess what? The world will know about our therapy, and the world will know about our emotional training. And the world will have a choice. They will have a choice to continually to suffer, or they will be able to break away. But they won't be, most won't break away, because guess what? The family won't let them. The herd won't let them. They'll gang up on them, but it won't be the family. It won't be their hearts. It'll be their subconscious mind. Their subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind will not allow anything. You may not understand this, but right now, you're being programmed by artificial intelligence. Well, yeah, that's true. Most people don't use their brain anymore. You don't even know your street address, unless your phone number or your kid's phone number for their phone. So artificial intelligence is taking over, and that's a really bad situation when you don't understand that your subconscious is 90% of your brain, and it's been programmed by the media, by the government, and by those that rule the government and the media. Oh, but you think you've got it together. I don't think you have it together unless you're going to let every system out there go, and you're not going to buy into any system, and you're only going to embrace nature, and you're only going to embrace total love, total care, total self-care. So you're going to be selfish enough to know what your needs are, no matter what your family thinks about you, because your family's trying to kill themselves too. Oh, on an unconscious level. But you want me to feel sorry for my family. So then I feel sorry for my family all the time. I bring down my vibration. And if I want to be accepted by my family, then that means I have to go to the corner store and get the most carcinogenic chemicals, or go to the supermarket, where really death starts in the supermarket, doesn't it? Oh, but we're protected, right? We're being looked after, right? I've never seen so many liquor stores open up, and they're triple now they were than 10 years ago, aren't they? They're on every bloody corner, right? So let's understand something. We are an inflammation nation.
Connection paused.
What?
Very good.
So we are an inflammation nation. Tell me we're not. Most people are in pain so much that they can't even show their children they love them. They can't show their wife that they love them. The wife can't show their husband they love them, or the children. And then the children think that they are not lovable and not worth loving, just because the family are adulterated. The parents are adulterated. Alcohol in the cupboard, prescription drugs in the bathroom, processed foods, GMOs, chemicals to clean the house with, poisonous ones, leaving the Wi-Fi on at night, but guess what? The husband doesn't want it because it's a pain in his ass. Meanwhile, it's destroying his kid's nervous system and brain. And all of this is creating inflammation in the body. There has never been a time in history where we have had so much inflammation in the body. And I hope you know that as long as you have inflammation in the body, the disease that you're suffering from, the condition you're suffering from, will never go away. Unless you bring the inflammation down to zero, you cannot have healing. Inflammation is the mask from everything from arthritis to cancer, diabetes, all the autoimmune diseases. And all the autoimmune disease, do you know what autoimmune disease means? The definition? Attacking oneself. Now, how can you attack oneself on a physical level unless you attack yourself on an emotional level first? You had to create the program, which was invisible, which was your thoughts, which was your programs, and you did that long enough and strong enough that your brain accepted it, and then every cell in your body accepted that it was unworthy to live. So then the weak links in your body, and the weak links not from genetics, because we already know genetics is BS. We already know that we don't pass diseases on genetically. So let's get over that. And whether you believe that or not, I'll let you struggle with that. The only thing that you pass on genetically is habits. My mother had it, so I'll have it. That's right, as long as you keep saying it. And that's what they made you believe. No, you're not unique. Of course you're unique. There'll never be another one like you. You're created by God Almighty, but no, we're not going to act like it. Because everybody else is walking around with inflammation, scar tissue formation, calcification throughout their body and crystallization. It's just normal. Well, it's not normal. I'll be 64 years old and I can work any of my kids under the table, because every day that I get up, I go that I've got so much more. I have unlimited potential, unlimited energy, unlimited abundance. I am everything. I was created by God Almighty. I am the Son of God, and they don't realize that yet. They look at the rest of their friends, the rest of their family, and the rest of people, and the people say, well, this is as much as I can do. This is as much as I can do. And I don't listen to what anybody says. I know that I can do much, much more. And every day I demand more from myself in a loving way, not in a hateful way. Because guess what? We run hate programs or love programs. And this whole inflammation thing, I'm telling you right now, you practitioners that are training, you know I made a promise. You know I made a promise that you don't have to do anything except work on yourself and love yourself and learn these techniques, and I'll help you build your business. We'll build your website for you. I do trainings every 2 weeks for you. I'm here to answer the phone for you. If you want to be successful, you'll be successful. If you want to be a failure, you're going to be a failure. It's not going to be because of us. And understand something. Everybody out there, you're taught that you need years of training. Let me tell you something. You should learn about the anatomy. You should learn about the muscles, the bones, the nervous system. Learn about all that so you have a better understanding. But I'm going to tell you something right now. And everybody out there, you can smoke this if you want. A person can come here and not know what the name of one muscle is, except that's called a knee. That's called a bicep. And they're still going to leave here being the most powerful practitioner in the world. Now, you know what? I used to be scared to say that because I would get in trouble. But because I get in trouble from fellow practitioners who spent all this money and all this time and fought for glory. Well, guess what? You're good enough already. Everybody's good enough. And if you are the patient and you don't want to become the practitioner, then you'll always be the patient. So you've got to unleash the practitioner from within. They made it seem that it's only the cream of the crop, the chosen few, who are going to heal people or heal themselves. That is such the biggest lie right there. There's the inflammation in the nation. It's the thoughts that prevail, that they want out there. We are so weakened right now that we will go and watch a commercial on a drug that will numb us out to bring our spirit down, because that's the only way that you can numb out pain. Okay, there's only 2 ways to numb out pain. What's that? Eating, overeating, okay, distraction, or taking drugs. And guess what? Pain is your friend, not your enemy. And the day that I realized that pain was my friend, then we have a good relationship. When it starts talking to me, I start listening. People don't listen. They've been taught to run away from it, and they'll always be in it. And it's going to destroy them. And that pain, you cannot have pain without inflammation. And most people are in pain all day long. If I thought about right now, pain in my body, I have a little twitch in my toe. That's it. Right? I don't even know why, but it doesn't really matter because my mind's not going to go there. But if your mind goes that you are a victim and you can't get rid of pain, then you're always going to be in pain because you've never been taught that pain is your friend. You need to get this. Even people coming here for the 21 days, they go, well, you know what? I'm going to go take the course. I would really like it to be true, but it's probably not true that I could just leave in 21 days and start my practice. Well, yes, you can start your practice, and guess what? I'll help you build it. And the other thing is that you're also under the World Organization of Natural Medicine, which means that you can get insurance, yes, and you're covered by them, and you can do our therapy anywhere in North America, and everybody else can back off. Are you done being scared? Are you done being scared of them, and are you done being scared that you don't have what it takes? And that's why nobody's getting well and everybody lives in hell. And I don't care if people say I'm radical or, you know, he just preaches or look at him, what he's doing. Well, I don't care about those people who want to say bad things. I want to see those people that I woke up and they said, wow, I'm allowed to live my full potential. I've always wanted to be a practitioner. I would love to be able to help my family so that we all don't freak out and then run to the hospital, okay, which is the sickest building in North America. I wonder why. And then guess what? We come home and then we're still worried. Why? Because you don't have a take action plan. Unless you have a take action plan, you have no plan, so you might as well just plan to go down, which most people are doing. So here's the deal. So what you're going to learn is you can take somebody that's had an ankle problem for 15, 20 years and you're going to turn it around in 20, 30 minutes. How's that? Is that fast enough? You're going to take people that have had, hammer toes, and, the first treatment, you're going to turn them around by 60%. And then, you know what? It might take 3 or 5 more treatments. It depends on the person, because guess what? If they have an inflammatory lifestyle relationship with themselves and their family, then they're dripping all this adrenaline, cortisol, and you're up against that. If they have sugar and flour in their house, you're up against that. If they have a bar in their house with alcohol, you're up against that. And if they take drugs to numb themselves out, that means that they don't feel any pain, but the pain is still going on. You do know that every drug you take, and you take it to get rid of the pain, the inflammation is still there. It's just the circuit's been cut to your brain. So that means that you are going to get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. Anybody understand that when you take, like, the stronger the drug, you feel stiffer after it in the morning? You go to get up and you feel really stiff. Well, that's because you told yourself that the inflammation was there, but it was still there. So then you kept doing the things, disrespecting yourself, and you created more crystallization, more calcium pulled from your bones, and more scar tissue. Grandpa, are you okay? You're walking as stiff as a board. I don't feel anything. Well, he did. Grandpa used to have pain throughout his body. Then Grandpa used to have nerve pain, because then the scar tissue and the crystallization got on the nerves, and he would move. The crystallization would poke the nerves, and it would send pain like that. Okay, or the scar tissue would wrap around the nerves, and he'd go to move and there'd be a pull. And then that pull, he'd think there was something wrong with him. Well, there was. It's scar tissue. Do you know how many people are getting surgery because it's a scar tissue displaced calcium crystallization problem? Not 99 out of 100. How about 9,999 out of 100? And they're all chronic healthcare problems that could have been avoided, and we didn't need the surgery. But if you go to a surgeon, what do they sell? What do they sell? Surgery. If you go to a pharmacist, what does he sell? Okay, all right. If you go to a hospital, do they sell health?
No.
Then why are they called healthcare? Well, that was the sucker punch. But I guarantee you, some of you in here, you'll get sick, you'll still run. I need to get tested. You know what? I'm not telling anybody to not do anything. So understand, everybody on Instagram, Facebook, everybody in this room, don't do what I say. I'm just a nutbag. Okay? What do I know? What do I know? Well, I'll tell you something. If you're going and getting tested and you go to the hospital, for me, this is just personal. I'm not telling anybody not to go. Okay? Because guess what? They're the pros at emergency care. And when you're in emergency, you go there. But if you're not in an emergency and you're going there more than once a year, then you become the emergency. Tell me people in your family that are in emergency care now, because they keep going back to the hospital. And what do you get at the hospital? Drugs, drugs, and more drugs until you get surgery. And then when it gets too bad, it'll be radiation chemotherapy. Right? Am I right or wrong? Am I a big liar?
Right.
So you know what? I don't care. So if people want to get upset with me, they can get upset with me, because guess what? I already know that I'm my best friend. That's enough for me. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to get people to love themselves. And I'm not here for you to dislike me, but guess what? I bet you throughout the class, a few people I know that didn't like me this week. But you're starting to like me now. And by the time you leave, you'll love me, because you're going to love yourself more. And you're going to go, no, he wasn't trying to terrorize me. He was trying to terrorize my subconscious that was programmed by the systems out there and by my parents, because they were adulterated. Why do you think they call it adulteration? There's not a parent that doesn't screw up a child. Even though I was doing all this work when I had children, I still screwed up my children. Now it's up to them to unscrew themselves, but they decided to come down to this life-threatening, fun-filled place called Earth So it's up to them to get out of it, and I'm here to support them. But if they want to live in pain, I'll let them do it as long as they want, because they knew what the game was about. And as soon as they want the new game, I've got children that are still punching themselves in the face. But you know what? Whenever they want to stop, they can stop. So we are an inflammation nation, and we are taught to create the inflammation we have. When you finally take total responsibility for every time you feel pain, you will no longer have pain. As long as you make somebody responsible for the pain that you're feeling, whether it's your mother, your brother, your sister, your father, the doctors, the practitioners, or anybody else out there, then you will always have pain. I am responsible for everything. If I go down the street and I get attacked by someone, I'm responsible for that attack. Now you're going, that's craziness. No, it isn't, because I understand about the mind. I understand that we attract everything that we have in our life. This is called a higher learning. And this is what you're here for. This is why you took this course. So let's understand something. You're going to know where your thoughts are, because your thoughts dictate your day from the minute you wake up until you go to bed. Unless you're going to connect to your breath and you're going to take life in, put a slight smile on your face. Yeah, but my mother just died. Unless you're going to connect to your breath and put a slight smile on your face, then you're going to die. When there's people that are sick in the family, guess what? The children all jockey for position to see who's going to suffer the most, to show that they love that person the most. Because we've been taught that more that we suffer when other people suffer, then that's called love. You can ask Sage, ask Genevieve. When they're suffering in my family, I don't participate at all. I connect to my breath. And you know what that's called in my family? You're arrogant. You have an ego. You don't care. You're cold. You're heartless. But guess who gets to pick up the pieces and put everybody back together? Who? Me. So I already told you, I'm not here for them to like me. I'm here for them to love themselves so they stop hurting themselves. And understand something. There's an elite group that feeds off of pain. You know who they are. They run the planet. They run the banks. They run the government. And they feed off of pain. If they didn't feed off of pain, why are we in so much pain? Why are we creating wars with countries we don't need to? Because they feed off of pain. They feed off of your misery, and they feed off of your children getting hurt. And you're thinking, well, this is just a deep tissue class, Daryl. What's your problem? Because the issues are in your tissues, because the issues were in your mind, because your mind is a landmine, because you weren't alert. You didn't know you were asleep, but you thought you were awake because your eyes were open. But your eyes aren't open. So, here it is. So whether we're talking about an ankle problem we can turn around, whether we're talking about hammer toes, whether we're talking about a car accident where somebody has had an injury. Every car accident, people need to come and see us. So the scar tissue that was created in the accident to try to help repair, because the body over repairs, always. The body overcompensates. Oh, wait a minute, wouldn't that be you? Every time something happens, you overcompensate because you don't stay connected to your breath. But your body overcompensates because guess why? Because it knows that it's dealing with someone that's asleep. Your body won't overcompensate when you're awake because I control my body. I've got one big knot here, okay? And that's from doing thousands and thousands of hours of removing fibroids and tumors and scar tissue without being worked on. So this one knot doesn't want to give up. But I don't have scar tissue in my body. I don't have pain in my body. Because I'm not a pain. And I don't need your approval. And I don't care what people think of me. And at the same point, I know I'm not hurting them, because when you totally love yourself, you don't hurt another. Hurt people, don't they? Right. So when people look for a practitioner, it would be really great if you guys totally loved yourself so you could teach that to them. Even though you're going to have this technique down and you're going to be able to turn a whiplash around, you're going to be able to help somebody hear again, you're going to help somebody be able to breathe again, you're going to go in there and help to get rid of a rotator cuff problem, tinnitus, carpal tunnel syndrome, all of that faster than anybody else out there. So yeah, all the other therapies out there are good, but they're not great. Because unless it empowers someone and they can feel the difference. I mean, do the therapies out there, when somebody walks in, they can just put the cane under their arm when they leave instead of limping? We prove it here every day. Somebody walks in, they can't get down those 3 stairs. We work on them, their hip, their ankle, their knee. Right, Abby? Mm-hmm. That's that. So you know what? It's one thing to get cocky and shoot your mouth off. There's another one to offer a money-back guarantee and continually prove this. So understand something. It's always been a scar tissue issue. It's not because your bones are out of place. Your bones come out of place because if I had a rope and I tie a knot, is it longer or shorter? Shorter. Oh, I got a knot in my neck. Oh, I feel like I have a knot here. I feel like I have a knot here. I feel like there's something going on. It's just like this. Do you know how many people are waiting and they got to wait for 1 to 2 years to get hip surgery or knee surgery or to get spinal surgery, and all they had to do was come here and the first 10 minutes they'd know that we could turn that around? No, it's bone on bone. It's not bone on bone. The tissue's calcified in beef jerky, and we're going to get in there and we're going to restore the energy, the lymph, the blood, the flow, and guess what? We're going to tell them they're not going to surgery. We didn't tell them they couldn't go to surgery. Anybody's allowed to go surgery, but understand something. Even medical system says that surgery creates the worst scar tissue that you can ever have. So just think about all these poor women that have had cesareans. The scar tissue is going in and just wrapping itself like an octopus around her ovaries, her uterus, her fallopian tubes. Okay? All right? Her bladder. All right? Or she goes to make love and it hurts. Or she goes to move and she feels a pull because it's wrapping itself around her large intestine. Now she can't poop anymore. That's what's going on, girls. You better get this. You can't have a cesarean. You can't have an appendix operation. You can't have a spinal operation. You can't have any operations unless you see a Wolfe deep tissue therapist or somebody that knows how to lovingly take that knot, first open it up, and then open the fibers up to restore it. And guess what? You can take the worst scar tissue in the world and instantaneously, as soon as there's enough blood flow, lymph flow, energy flow, it turns from scar tissue into beautiful connective tissue right before your eyes. So people go, where'd all the scar tissue go? It didn't go anywhere. We restored life back into the tissue. And when we do that, the calcium gets released and then it can be uptaked into the bone, especially if you're doing the SAC calcium, which is the only product like it in the world. This is a calcium ion product that will take all the calcium and put it back. 9 to 12 months from now, that person has the bone structure of a 35-year-old person completely fixed. I don't care if you're 85 years old and your bones are crumbling. Everything can be turned around. You're created by God, for pity's sakes. Listen, and scar tissue. Okay, so we know that the body creates fat to store heavy metals, to store acidity, but mainly to store what? The emotions you can't process. So we are frequency beings and we can't process emotions. It's going to be stored in our tissues or in our joints. Does everybody get that? So what it's going to cause is issues in your tissues. Now, when you're taking in sugar and flour and alcohol and GMOs and all of these things, and you've got too much Wi-Fi going on, the EMF, it has to create things like scar tissue and fat cells. Fat cells store toxic frequencies and the invisible, and the visible being toxic chemicals and heavy metals and toxic emotions you can't process. And guess what? This is all cushioning, isn't it? I've got to cushion myself. I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what? So now we know that 80% of the population is overweight. Now we know that 60% of the population is obese. And now we know that, guess what? In 5 to 10 years, remember how they would have these big and tall places and you would have to go look for it to go shop? Well, now people like myself, we're going to have to drive for miles and miles to find a skinny shop. And we are going to be known in 10 years as the unhealthy ones. Meanwhile, they're going to be dropping like flies. This is how illusional we've become. You know why zombie movies are so popular? Because 8 out of 10 people are a zombie. How can you actually steal people's lives unless they're asleep? So understand, let me just say this, and you got to get this. Scar tissue and fat is a magnet for heavy metals and chemicals. We got that, right? So what happens when you get rid of the fat? You get rid of that. But guess what? What is the tissue in the body that holds the most heavy metals? Abby?
Scar tissue.
Scar tissue. So the more scar tissue you have, the more heavy metals you're going to have, and the more you're going to attract them. Now, do I take in heavy metals? Yes. But do they stay in me? No. Like attracts like. Everything is vibrational. I don't know, but my family, they're so dysfunctional. Yeah, well, like attracts like. And then, people will say, oh, I have a beautiful family. And then I go there and I see. Unless you are at total peace with yourself and you love life from the minute you wake up until you go to bed, and you go to bed to just know that you're going to love that too. And if you have trouble going to sleep, then you have trouble with yourself, and you have trouble with your family, and you have trouble with life. And understand something. If I went through all the things, how they're trying to kill us, my God, 5G is being unleashed, and we know that that's a weapon of war. GMOs, they're allowed to make GMOs. And now they've given it a new name. What is the new name? Somebody told me the other.
Biofortified.
Biofortified GMOs are now called biofortified. And you know what? For all the people that are sleeping, which are what? 9,999 people out of 10,000 are going to want biofortified.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
And this is your government. And your government does not work for you. It works for these families. And these families feed off the pain and the suffering and the death and the dying and disease and divorce and all of the D's that you can think of. Because it's D-Day. And that's because we're asleep at the wheel. And I don't care what people think anymore. You've got my support 100%, guys. You're going to be the best therapist when you leave here. And we're going to prove it. We're going to prove that all you have to do is direct people back to nature. Direct people back to self-love, self-care, and that they're going to have it. And you're going to be the greatest practitioners, and you are the greatest practitioners that this planet is ever going to see. And I don't care. What are they going to do to me? What are they going to do to me for telling the truth? What are they going to do to me for telling people that everybody has a hidden practitioner inside of them, and that they can heal themselves and their family, and we can change the world? And unless you're going to change yourself first and foremost, and you're going to totally honor, respect, love, and protect yourself, then you are not going to teach anybody else how to do it. And understand, I want everybody to get this. I know absolutely almost nothing. Every day I get up knowing almost absolutely nothing. The little bit I know, I'm damn sure of it. And I'm open to learn from every one of you. I'm open to learn from the world. And even though the world is on a tipping point right now, and that they want to reduce the population by 50%, and they're going to be successful. In the next 20 years, the population will be reduced by 20%, by 50%. And you're going to say that's not true, Daryl. And I'm saying yes, it is. Everything gets to a tipping point. Remember that little drip that was dripping down? You didn't worry about it? Well, it'll drown you. And when it gets to a certain point, it will drown you. And we're at the drowning point right now. So, should I speak up? Should I speak up, or should I get scared? So what do you need to do? You need to mind your own business when you're doing this course. Don't look at the next person that's doing their work here. Focus on yourself. Keep your eyes closed when you're working, because guess what? The best therapist is out of his mind and blind. Don't you dare think about anything. Okay? We're going to have the music on, because the way that you do our work is that you dance while you work. Because did you know that dancing releases the deep emotional stuff that you have inside of you? Do you know why people like to dance? Because they're moving every joint and they're releasing that deep emotional pain that they have deep down in their side, and that's why we love to dance. So when we're doing it this week, if I catch my therapist not making you move your hips and move your body, and to realize and to get into the music and the beat to learn what we do here, because look at, when I was younger, I was called Disco Darrow, and guess what? I was going to create a therapy that was going to have dance, and it was going to be the most powerful therapy in the world, and I believed it, and I am given it. And understand, that which created the universe wants to give you all the gifts that you want, but you'll never have them because you're unworthy. You're unworthy. Every pain and little bit of suffering you have is you caused it. And once you take responsibility for that, so when you go into this room here today, I'll be watching my therapist to stay on top of you. You better have a slight smile on your face. You better be breathing the Lionheart breath, so that you can get into sync with your patient and get them doing the Lionheart breathing with you, so that you are working together. You are not the practitioners that are out there. Rise up. Stay connected to your breath. Keep your eyes closed. Put your consciousness down into the elbow. Okay? And just let go. Whoever's the most academic here is going to struggle the most. You know what? We think that if we become really academic, we're great people. I don't care how many years you went to school. And don't ever let anybody try to put you down. Don't let anybody ever try to test you. And here's what you're going to say to any practitioner that out there that is government approved that might come after you, because we're approved even higher. And this is this. Send me the patients that you can't fix, and I'll work on them for nothing if I can't get them well. And I'll turn your patients into practitioner. And when you turn the patient into a practitioner, meaning starting to take their power back and look after their own body, we will move forward on this planet. All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll meet in the room. Thank you, Instagram, Facebook. Have the best day of your life.